Oh man, I want to crack my neck on camera. Whatever. Uh, Jacksonville Jaguars, the Duval, or the AFC South of the just the goddamn Bungles, because you're a cap-based team that's usually consistently underachieving. In the regular season, though, you guys don't touch postseason. You guys haven't been in the postseason since 2017, and that was technically one of your greatest seasons ever, next to 99. And particularly that much has been said over the Jalen Ramsey controversy, overpayment of Nick Foles just for him to leave, and he only started in like 2 games, even though he's only played like a full game in one. Then he got injured later on, having Gardner Minshew practically getting a number one spot. Day Westbrook and DJ Chark had pretty much the best season out of most. And they came into losing your secondary until you got a central ball hawk from Florida coming from just CJ Henderson. Got some decent edge rusher out of Kevleon Chasen. Lavasque, a good steal in Chenault from Colorado. And Devon Hamilton. The only complaint that I have in majority of the draft was Jake Luton. That's an average second string quarterback. He can give it up short, and thanks to his size, I guess that's why the Jaguars drafted him. But other than that, it was an alright pick. Decent pick, and people thought he was registered to go 4 for 5th. The guy reportedly went 6 as one of the first late round picks, next to Tyler Davis and just Chris Claybrooks. But more on that later. Another good steal was an offensive tackle that used to play for St. John's in Ben Barch. St. John's and the University of Minnesota. Played well. He knows how to actually pass block. Really good, especially for edge rushers, especially in the AFC South. You need good pass blockers. Thought they could have done more on the offensive line, but I know they wanted to focus on that secondary and that pass block. They were barely effective on trying to get the sack or trying to get a pass deflection at best. They picked up Shaquille Quarterman with the 4th round pick and Daniel Davis to help in safety. And Colin Johnson for, I guess, another speedster. He's from Texas, so I'm not going to look him up. Then the offseason had to happen. And obviously the Jaguars had an offseason after starting the season they started in the first 5 weeks in a decent record with Gardner Minshew leading the team, and then they went off losing 5 straight before 4 straight after the bye week against teams like the Colts, the Titans, and the Tampa Bay Buccaneers, and the Chargers that were following up after a terrible first half into the season. The Bucks when they were still playing inconsistently. The Titans when they were following up from Tannehill starting, and the Colts were just falling off till then. Won 2 of the last 3 in the final 3 games of the season, so that was good. When they were in the playoff hunt, they beat the Colts. They couldn't beat the Falcons, and they beat the Colts. Oh, God. They picked up an injury-prone Tyler Eifert for a 9-year deal. Rodney Guntel and somehow Joe Schobert from the goddamn Browns. I think the weakest signing of it all is Tyler Eifert. He's barely been producing. The guy's had a terrible injuries over the past few years since his time in Cincinnati. He shows that collective size, and if he can play healthy, he could be a great contributing unit into the Bengals that hasn't gotten a good tight end in them since trying to get horseradish from the goddamn Broncos out of their tight end, and having a weak receiving core. I think it's pretty good that they make these signings, try to focus internally on their offensive lines. I can see why, but majority was just defensively based, and they would pick only Tyler Schulte for O-line help. And Cedric, but that's technically it coming from Seattle. Oh boy, they re-signed him to a 1-year deal. Carl Davis, Nico Larry from Tennessee, and Terry Godwin that they re-signed, and he barely played much. Marquise Lee, he's gone to New England. We barely hear much about Jake Ryan. He went to Jacksonville, and they still keep DJ Chark and Dede Westbrook with the rookie receiver. So this is probably an experimental time. The team went 6-10 last season. They're following up below the cap, like like under $700,000. These guys are, I guess, building up because they're still a small market team. You got to bring it up to big use unless they have a consistency of success and find a smarter way of branding than just repackaging their uniforms and then their dumbass logo of I don't know if they're trying to make a fat jaguar or a tiny jaguar with probably the most likable quarterback that they have since like David Garrard back in the late 2000s. I feel like this is a perfect thing coming from the Blaine Gabbert era, the Jake Bortles era, and then a really long, hard 4 weeks of the Nick Foles era that didn't even bloom too much. I think he's out to Chicago now. Oh god, it sucks, man. I feel like they really had raw talent. And I really thought the Jaguars, if they had the right team, Jalen Ramsey stayed on a cool head. They finally picked up a good quarterback that I feel like Marcus Mariota should have went to Jacksonville or something, and they can work with a scrambling QB. Now he's off to Las Vegas. This could have been a good team. I feel like they can end up 7-9, at least bump up their winning record a little bit. But seeing how they won the more focus on the defensive level, lack of an offensive unit, only coming from their tight end, and they only picked up like a few receivers. I can only see them going like a 5-11, and that's a harder thing to predict. That's only coming from me. There's still time to do signings in a few times to see how guys are going to produce. So most of my updates are only updates. They're not like full on predictions of what's going to happen. Thanks, we don't know the full on roster yet of every team until like late summer. So please, this is only an update. Don't try to kill me in the comment section. Even though I don't mind to, I'll read it anyway. So that's it coming from the DST show. Like, comment, subscribe. How you feel about it down below, and the interling news involving the Jacksonville Jaguars. Side note, Frank Gore went to the Jets. Why is he still playing? He's been the most productive veteran running back, and he obviously has rushing records. But, goddamn, he's still playing. And thank you, Frank Gore. But I don't know how much rushing depth that they need. There's already that stuff with Le'Veon Bell up in the market, and I don't want to touch on that because I already had an update on the Jets several times. But I'll make sure to keep a quick tab on the Jets lately. That's it coming from me.